Hi, it's another Friday and you're welcome to the Premier League preview show on Citi TV. My name is Nathan Carr. This is the show that accompanies our coverage of the Premier League on Citi 97.3 FM. And it's always a pleasure bringing you the show every Friday. If you have anything to tell us, send in your WhatsApp messages on the number on your screen, 020-444-7033, hashtag Citi Sports. The Premier League is back after an international break, and you thought the pressure on your team would disappear. Forget it. It's still on as another weekend approaches. So we'll get into all the lovely conversations. So you can send in your thoughts on the WhatsApp number on your screen. But just before we started, you saw the ad. The Citi Business Olympics is on, the 2023 edition, and it's happening at the Eden Heights Sports Complex in Wager behind the West Hills Mall. It's a wonderful place. If you haven't been there and you are wondering what to do, that day, just come out. If you haven't registered your company, to call 0205-973-973 or 0558-973-973. Call, find out the sports you can take part in, secure your spots by doing the needful, and then on the 30th, we'll see you at the Citi Business Olympics 2023. It should be fun. I don't know what sport you're going to take part in, whether it's sack race, which is my favorite, whether it's seven-a-side football, basketball, swimming, tennis, lime and spoon, various board games, checkers, chess, and all of those games, all of those things happening on the 30th of September in the 2023 edition of the Citi Business Olympics. All right, we'll talk about that a little later. But let me introduce my guests, Yafrin Pong and Iman Onubo. Guys, how are we doing? I'm sure I'll be seeing you on the 30th. Are you taking part in the sack race?
Well, if my football club can come, why not?
Okay. So we'll discuss that later. We don't know whether they are a company.
They are a company.
They are a company?
Yeah.
Okay, no problem.
What are they buying or selling?
So, guys, it's nice to meet you once again. The international weekend is over. Some people are happy, others are not happy. Some people thought they wouldn't come back to meet their team in disorder, but yeah, it's going on. There are still teams struggling to understand what's going on. Let's get to the very first bit of our show. Some players and managers excelled in the first month of the Premier League, and so they got awarded. Ange Postecoglou, Manager of the Month, and James Maddison, Player of the Month of August. Guys, are we surprised?
For me, I would have voted David Moyes Manager of the Month.
Okay.
If you look at the matches he had to play, I think they were a bit more difficult than what Spurs had to play. In as much as it was a new coach, new terrain, more or less a new squad, I would have tipped David Moyes, especially for the miracle job they did at Brighton, going all the way to Brighton and beating them 3-1. So I would have said David Moyes would have been my Manager of the Month. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, not too surprised. Postecoglou has been good. I'll just give him his flowers. He deserves it.
Mm-hmm.
Coming into the Premier League from Scotland, sometimes they believe that they are coming in at the top. You win a league title with Celtic. You think you can compete with United and City. You come and then you're humbled. Brendan Rodgers, and he's come in, and his style of football is different from what we've seen Spurs play for the last couple of years. And the fact that they're doing it without Harry Kane, I think that's the main factor there, because he's actually got them working in the middle, at the back, and it's almost a whole new squad. So he deserves it, no doubt about that.
All right, Ange Postecoglou and James Maddison getting awarded as Manager and Player of the Month, respectively. So that's out. I'm sure there will be more awards handed out during the months of the season. Let's have a look at the fixtures for match week 5 of the new Premier League season. Of course, the games are live on Citi 97.3 FM. So let's have a look at the games that will be on display this weekend, as the match week will extend to about Monday night. But guys, let's yes. So there you have the games there. Wolves, Liverpool. That's a very interesting early kickoff. And then you've got Fulham, Luton, Spurs, Sheffield, West Ham, Man City. That should be an interesting one. It's almost clash of styles, if you like. Yeah. And then there's Man United versus Brighton. All of a sudden, this game is extremely important for Manchester United, because one more bad result and officially they are in crisis mode now. Villa will take on Palace. Newcastle welcome Brentford. Bournemouth will take on Chelsea. Everton welcome Arsenal. And the match week will end on Monday when Nottingham Forest welcome Burnley. Nottingham Forest welcome Burnley to the City ground. That's on Monday night. All right, let's begin our hop around. Let's talk about Liverpool. Liverpool, they travel to Wolverhampton Wanderers. 2 weeks ago, they were in action. Let's see how that game played out when Liverpool took on Bournemouth in the Premier League. 3 points against Bournemouth. This was a couple of weeks ago in the Premier League. Emmanuel, so Liverpool go to Wolves. Wolves they've not started well, to be very sincere in terms of the numbers. They haven't looked good. Liverpool are hoping to get another away win. The last time they were on the road, it was at Newcastle, I believe, yes. And they won that game by 2-1, right? 2-1. Yeah, Liverpool came back to win. This should be easy, right? I mean, Wolves don't win.
I don't believe so. Funny enough, I heard this stat that last season, of the 6 matches Liverpool played, the early kickoff, they didn't win any of them.
Wow. 5 losses.
So, also, so they drew and then they lost some. So, and Klopp is already in the press conference moaning about why are we playing an early kickoff when you have players coming in from South America? And it makes a lot of sense. You'd have expected maybe the schedule to start the games a little bit later. But then for Liverpool, I think they have the longest unbeaten run in the league. They've gone about 15 games or so unbeaten, starting from last season. And you'd think that they have enough quality, especially looking at how Wolves are set up. They had a preseason with one manager, he's gone out, another manager is in. They are beginning to figure things out. So for Liverpool, I would say in as much as, yes, last season didn't go so well with the doom of the early kickoff, Liverpool seems to be in some sort of great form. Players seem to have found some synergy. So it's the best time to travel to Wolves, a team that's struggling, a team that's yet to settle with their new manager who didn't have preseason with them. They have a lot of players all over the place. Some have come back from injury, some have come back from loans, like Fabio Silva has a lot of good works, runs and all those things, but no end product. And Wolves have been struggling to score. So for Liverpool, a team that also struggle to keep clean sheets nowadays, it looks like Trent is always a mistake away from giving a goal away, and it looks teams set up to target him. So for a team that doesn't score much, and you are traveling to them, it looks like even though it's an early kickoff, there may be a bit of fatigue from the international break. It's a good setup for Liverpool to be able to back the points. Okay, all right.
Let's look at it from the other perspective. Wolves, I'm sure when they pour over the numbers, they won't be too pleased because they are yet to win a game in the season. They haven't found enough goals. They are struggling, even though the performances look like they are encouraging. If they will get anything from this game, how will they do it?
Really, it's about being direct. Gary O'Neill is one of those managers. He's played in the league. He's been an underdog before. And when he came to Bournemouth, we saw what he did. A bit direct with his approach. And with the players he's got at Wolves, he's got people that will run for him, people that would actually put in the hard work. It's a pity they don't have Adama, because this is the kind of game that you want to have someone like him against a Liverpool backline that's a bit shaky. That's always going to let in a goal. But then with Juan Chan, I think he might be the key man for them, and Cunha. As much as they are all coming from long travels, I just think they work hard for the team. And with the way Gary O'Neill normally sets up, he wants his forward men or the wide men to be a bit more involved in the game, and that might be the difference for them, because then there will be spaces to exploit with Robertson moving forward. And I know Trent might not be available, but if he is available, him as well, also tucking in, those will provide O'Neill with the opportunities to hurt Liverpool. So they just have to be direct with the transition. You get the ball, you're going direct at the Liverpool defense. If you try to have a transition where you have one or two faces, you kill the game, because Liverpool will settle quickly. So they need to be very quick on the transition, and they will hurt Liverpool.
Emmanuel, I think Virgil van Dijk misses out this one.
Yeah, he misses this game too.
Yes, he's suspended.
As Frimpong mentioned, Trent may not be available. Konate, he was a late fitness test, so it looks like Liverpool may actually set up
mix and match.
Yeah, Kwanzaa may have to come in, and Joe Gomez, who I don't like playing, may have to come in there.
Why don't you like Joe Gomez?
He's a bundle of nerves, and I mean,
he's lost something.
Yeah, I think after Liverpool won the league, as I said some weeks back, he's not been the same.
You think they should have moved him on?
I think so. I think there's a lot of centre backs Liverpool should have moved on, but that's a conversation for another day. But for Wolves, I think if Liverpool take this lightly, it could be dangerous. Last season, Liverpool lost 3-0 at Wolves, and Martin O'Neill was one of the managers that beat club last season too, though, even though he did at Bournemouth. So
Gary O'Neill,
sorry. So you may say he has the template to beat club, and if
but Wolves can't score. They cannot score.
Yeah, but Liverpool have a habit of giving away goals too. So
they give away goals. That's the key thing. So one error, 2 errors, now you're two goals down, and now you have to find a way to fight back into the game. So Liverpool might give the game away if they don't do the right things.
But I think if Liverpool setting in early, they do get an early goal. That's curtains for me.
Okay.
Yeah. But should the game be in the balance, half-time, getting to the 60th minute, and Wolves get 1 or 2 opportunities? I mean, they have some players who have the killer effect. Neto on the wing can be dangerous. They've lost Nunez, but they still have some fair bit of nice players who can put together a good set of passes and things. So Liverpool will have to be careful, but this should be an easy game for them.
Okay, all right, we'll see. It's the first game of the weekend, 11:30. They say there's this thing called the curse of the early kickoff. We'll have to find out if that really exists. Let's move on to our next game, and it's one that has a lot of Manchester United fans very concerned about the potential outcome. Is Man United welcoming Brighton and Hove Albion? Probably I can say the only team to have done a double on Man United last season, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yes, I think they were the only team to do a double.
Yeah. Comfortable double.
Comfortable double, yeah. 2-1 and 1-0. Yeah, so Brighton, they traveled to Old Trafford. Man United have had a lot to deal with in the last month.
Yeah.
Off the field matters, on the field problems, manager and players are beefing. It's chaos at Old Trafford, yeah, and Brighton are showing up at a very bad time for Manchester United.
Yeah, it could be one of those days that the camera will be on Ten Hag, and there's nothing he can do. We saw it against Liverpool last season. We saw it a couple of seasons with Ole at Liverpool as well. It's just one of those games where United need to they just need to get by, in the sense that don't give away silly goals. Just stay in the game. Don't concede. Brighton have quality all over the pitch, and the fact that Ansu Fati has come to add to the attacking talent that they've got is very, very worrying. Man United, I heard Amrabat is not available.
No, Amrabat is not available.
Well, like the next month, I think.
Mason Mount
I think he
is
should be
coming
back
from
in a
an
few
injury.
weeks.
Jaden, Sancho.
Jed is out training by himself these days.
Anthony.
You know the funny thing? They could have Maguire and Ivan starting in defense.
Chaos.
So it's quite concerning for United that even after getting all these players in there, there's still a lot of quality lacking. And in terms of their outputs, forward line, it hasn't been great. We saw bits of Højlund against Arsenal where everyone thought he can do something, but how can he do something if the foundation isn't solid? So Casemiro with Eriksen was one of United's best players.
Better players, it's true, against Arsenal.
However,
I think on the offense, but defensively,
again,
he was really poor.
so that's United's big concern, and you're playing a team that's rapid. They're very direct. They're fluid going forward. So United have a lot of work to do if they want to get something out of this game. But a key thing for United as well is the fact that they're playing at home. We saw what happened against Wolves. They got by. 1 goal.
Brighton aren't Wolves.
I'm coming. And then
maybe
against,
officiating might favor them like
against Forest as well, 2 goals down, United managed to scrape by. So I'm just assuming or believing that as they are home, United can get by. They can scrape by with the draw. But these teams, whenever they've met, there's never been a draw. So
There's always an outright winner.
And it's looking more likely to be Brighton.
Than Man United.
So
You know, if you are Roberto De Zerbi, you'd probably be looking at Man United and thinking that this is one of the easiest away trips you will ever have. Can United give them a problem?
I think they can, but I mean, De Zerbi will be humble, but if he was Patrick Beverley, he would say he's licking his lips because I don't think United would want to set up like how West Ham did when they went to Brighton.
Okay.
They are playing at home. It's the theatre of dreams. They would want to dominate the game. They would want to show who's
But what
boss
if
here.
playing on the break is what will save them on the day?
I mean, if you look at how the personnel United has versus the personnel Brighton has and the way things are currently going, you'd want to give Brighton the ball, let them play. I mean, United for the past, let's say, 3 or 4 years, were one of the best counter-attacking teams, and only to a large extent, even under Ten Hag, I think they are more counter-attacking than a possession-based team. So you'd think that's their
and it's through no fault of theirs. That's just who they are.
Yeah,
that's the kind of quality.
The players make the system, so what they have is effectively what they would have to do with it. But then, would United do that? I don't think they would do that. Now, as I mentioned, you're not sure who will be playing in defense. And for your coach to openly come and say that your defense got worse when he brought on Johnny Evans and Maguire, then it already sends a message. Maguire already has his issues in the media. His mom has come out to defend him. All sorts of funny things. It's like United are having to deal with more PR problems than they have on the pitch. And they also have problems on the pitch with Antonio also being away. So for United, if I was Ten Hag, I would say you need to get a win, regardless of how you want to play. Get the win, because midweek 2 you have Bayern. So should you lose to Brighton and then lose to Bayern 2, it's going to be a lot for him. But I don't see United playing at home and playing on the counter. I really doubt that, and that would play into Brighton's hands. I don't know if Ferguson will be available to play. He had an injury before the international break. But even if he's not playing, they have so many
Brighton
weapons.
does have quality.
They can call João Pedro. There's even Welbeck. Like, it's an unending list of players who can hurt you multiple
problems
ways.
On their hands.
They can kill you with possession, where they bait you and then they play the ball in behind. They can give the ball to their wingers. Mitoma can take on 3 or 4 players. So they can kill you with individual brilliance, and as a team also, tactically, they can tear you apart. So for United, they will need to be extremely careful. I don't know who plays in defense, but whoever plays in defense will have to be extremely careful.
Well, look, it's a really tough time for Manchester United.
Yeah.
All the wrong things are happening to them at the same time. Personal problems, PR problems, all kinds of things. Anyway, look, we wish Man United the very best as they take on Brighton at Old Trafford. Any kind of win, I'm sure United would be happy with, and they can build their house from there. Still watching the Premier League preview show. Let's get to our final game, and it's a very interesting one. It's Everton at home to Arsenal. Now, last season, Everton won this game in what was Sean Dyche's first home game. Some people believe that result ultimately had an impact on Arsenal's title challenge as they lost to Manchester City down the stretch, to borrow the basketball term. And they do it again, guys. Sean Dyche, who also has his own issues, his team can't seem to win games. They can't do anything right in the league. Facing a very rampant Arsenal these days, who seem very determined to make a statement this season.
Yeah, Arsenal have been brilliant. Just before the international break, we saw what they did with just a few changes in the second half, and they were able to just overpower Man United. They go away somewhere that's been a bogey ground for them for I think the last 5.
They've not won there since 2017.
Exactly, 4 attempts, 1 draw. Every other time it's been difficult, and I think that's quite concerning. But then again, they have to realize that this time around they're coming back with a bit more quality. Declan Rice in the middle gives them a bit more comfort to try something else. Odegaard is the highest scorer for Arsenal in the last couple of games, 17 goals. And I think he might be the difference, because once he has space and time to operate, he allows Saka, Martinelli, Gabi Jesus, whoever is in front of him, he gives them a bit more comfort in terms of supply or quality of the balls. So Arsenal can win this game. They just need to be on it from the beginning. They need to realize that they're going away. You're still trying to stay in the title race. Has started already, so you want to stay in it, and they need to make a statement at Everton.
All right, Emmanuel, if you look at Everton, they've gone through a very difficult time. They are still trying to understand what they want to do this season. But Arsenal are coming to town. History favors them. So if you were Sean Dyche, what would be the plan?
You think Sean Dyche will go back to his foundation, which is a team which is hard to beat, and then they find a way to grind the results from a corner, a set piece, those kind of things. But unfortunately, that hasn't been his law at Everton. In as much as, he managed to survive relegation last season, it's looking really bad this season. Now, your team is not performing well. Alex Iwobi under Sean Dyche was one of their better performing players. He's been shipped off to Fulham. Now you have Calvert-Lewin. You don't know whether he's going to play or not. They brought in Beto from, I think, Udinese.
Yeah.
He looked a bit impressive
in the League Cup,
League Cup,
game,
and also I think against Sheffield. He didn't look too bad. But then again, it looks like if Arsenal go to the trophies and make up their mind that no, last season we lost, this time we are in for business, it's going to be a tall order for them. I think that whole club is in a mess. I think over the past 5 years, they've had about 9 or 10 managers.
Just keep changing.
Complete mess.
Yeah,
but at least a bit of good news is that the takeover, I think, is almost done. The 7, what's their name?
777 or something.
Yes, 777 guys. They bought out 90+%
I mean, the money is good, but if you read more on them, anywhere they go, relegation follows. So that may not be. They may bring the relegation curse to Everton, something that they've managed to avoid over the last 2 seasons. So for Everton, I think if they set up pragmatically, like how they are supposed to set up, make yourself harder to beat. Good enough for you. You have a goalkeeper who is quite good. He's England's #1. Even against Sheffield, actually.
Yeah, why are you grimacing?
Against Sheffield, if not for him, they would have actually lost that game. He made 2 fantastic saves getting to the end of the game. So if they make themselves hard to beat, and then Arsenal will have to work harder for them, then you get a corner, then you get a set piece, then you can spring something, either on the counter or something of that nature. But then if they do leave themselves as open as they are and give themselves away to Arsenal, I think Arsenal will tear them apart.
You know, one key thing for Everton as well is the Doucouré and Onana playing as the number 10.
Yeah.
I think that was something Sean Dyche tried against Sheffield. And going forward, the final ball might not be great, but they give you energy. And sometimes you just need willing runners just in behind your striker, and they will get you that 1 or 2 goals you need. So they might need to explore that against Arsenal, because it's going to be probably just Declan Rice in there. Maybe Ben White will come in from the right to support him, but he can't do all the work by himself, and maybe they could target that.
But then you need to ask yourself, who is Everton even going to line up?
Well,
Demarai Gray is going to Saudi.
Yeah.
So there's so much wrong with this team from the boardroom right to the
At least,
pitch.
I think Dwight McNeil.
yeah, he's back.
He's just coming back.
They brought in Jack Harrison. We don't know
Yeah,
whether
because
he'll be
he's
fit for
still
this
injured.
game.
He's still injured. So they do have massive personnel problems.
Yes.
And if you ask me personally, I look at Everton, they look like a team that's heading to the championship. If they survive, I'd be impressed.
Oh, maybe some teams will be worse than them, judging by how the others have started.
All right, let's do the Premier League preview show on Citi TV. We are just doing a hop around of the games that are standout games, really. Wolves, Liverpool, Man United, Brighton, and Everton versus Arsenal. You can send in your comments on the WhatsApp number on your screen, and we'll go through as many of them as possible. Let's move on to the next part of the show. We are going to look at the traditional top 6 teams. We'll look at their next 5 games and maybe use those 5 games to gauge possibly how their season might play out. We could be right or wrong, but we'll try and look at them, through the lens of the next 5 games to see how their season may possibly shape up by match week 9 or 10. That is what, 1/3 of the season played, if you like. Some people say it's a 1/4 of the season, but yeah. So let's begin with Arsenal. Let's have a look at Arsenal's next 5 encounters. There you have it. They go to Everton to start off the run. The North London derby will follow. They go to Bournemouth. Then they take on Manchester City.
Early. It's very early.
They are very good friends, Manchester City. And then they take on Chelsea. So very interesting fixture run in this. They have a North London derby to play.
Yep.
And they take on the defending champions, Manchester City.
It's a bit of a concern if I was Arsenal, because
Why?
they've got Champions League as well in the mix. So now, with the squad that they've got, are they going to rotate? Are they going to keep certain players for Champions League? And if they don't take care, by that City game, they might take a knock or 2 somewhere, and the confidence might be wobbly when they face City. And with what Pep has done over the last couple of years against Arsenal, it might not end well. And by the end, maybe even Chelsea might beat them.
Oh, I don't think so.
Even Chelsea might beat them.
But you see, somebody will say that in winning the Community Shield, Arsenal kind of laid down a marker to tell Manchester City that we are ready this time.
I don't think so. I know, because Pep had to try something different. He's lost one key player, which was Gundogan, and Mahrez, 2 key players, and he had to try something else in his setup against Arsenal. So in the Community Shield, for me, it was more of him just testing, okay, I had this in mind. Let's see if we can still get by with that strategy. It didn't work. He would probably go back to the basics and he'd probably beat Arsenal again. So Arsenal shouldn't look at the Community Shield to think they've got one over City. It's actually the worst thing to do, to beat them in an audition like that. You want to give them as little information about your team or how you want to play in the season. And, well, they did that. They gave too much information, and I think that's what Pep will use to beat them.
I think they won on penalties, if I remember.
Yeah, they won
Exactly.
on the shootout.
So it wasn't as convincing as it was.
But how
But
they
at
scored.
least, you know, for a lot of the Arsenal fans, the fact that they were down, they didn't give up, they got an equalizer. It was almost like a moral victory, if you like.
If you don't want a trophy in a long while, these are the things you go for.
All right, let's move on. Let's have a look at Chelsea. Chelsea are also going through a very, very difficult time. They've spent all the money in the world. They've brought in all kinds of players, and they are hoping that they will come together. So these are their next 5 games. Bournemouth away, Villa at home, Fulham away.
Burnley away. And Arsenal at home.
They've
That's
got Arsenal.
at home.
Burnley away.
And they've got Burnley, yes, Burnley away. So
Burnley and then Arsenal.
Bournemouth, Fulham, and Burnley away. And then they host Aston Villa, who can be quite tricky, and then Arsenal at home.
You know that Chelsea fans will hate me for saying this, but most of these games are with their mates. I mean, the first 4.
Like with their mates.
They are mid-table friends. But
It's just
then,
a temporary thing. They'll be fine.
But then I think for Chelsea, the only thing is that you don't know where Chelsea will turn up. If you look at their squad, you don't know where their goals are going to come from. I think they're performing below their expected goals. So they tend to disturb the defense. But
The performances are encouraging, you
Yes,
must
yeah,
admit,
yes.
but the goals aren't there.
And you'd have thought with the way they played against Liverpool, it would have been rising, but it looks like it has gone down. Forest beat them at home. So for Chelsea, I think mainly the primary thing is that where are the goals going to come from? If Sterling is looking like the Sterling of old and he can maybe put in a bit of goals, if Jackson can find some form of confidence, you think they should, I think 5 games, 15 points, they should be able to manage at least 9, probably. But then if they don't and they come out with more losses than draws or points, it could be disturbing times at Chelsea again. But we know they don't like keeping managers for long. So
I see. All right, we'll see how it goes for Chelsea. This is the Premier League preview show. We'll take a very quick break. When we come back, we'll look at some other teams and their next 5 games, and then we move on to other interesting topics to discuss on the show. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. This is the Premier League preview show on Citi TV. My name is Nathan Kwao. I have Yao Frimpong and Emmanuel Nubo as my guests. We're looking at the traditional top 6 or the top 6, and we're trying to figure out the next 5 games and what these games could potentially mean for the future of those teams in the league. We've looked at Arsenal and Chelsea. Let's move on to Liverpool. Liverpool, they are currently in a good place on the league. They started very, very well, and these are their next 5 games. Wolves, of course, coming up this weekend. West Ham home, Spurs away, Brighton away, and the Merseyside derby that they always win at home. So
It's not going to change, really.
yeah.
I think by the 5th game, yes, Everton is a done deal. Unless,
Liverpool will beat Everton. They
Yeah.
always
Yeah.
beat.
yeah, but then
it's a matter of how much.
the concern would be facing Spurs, facing
Spurs
West,
away
Brighton
from home.
away. I think
Brighton away,
Brighton
Those seem to be the top
West
ones.
Ham. West Ham at home. Anfield is just different, but then West Ham can be stubborn, and we've seen them play some good football this season. They'll make it a bit difficult, but Liverpool have got the quality. Van Dijk will be back by
Yeah,
then,
he should be back
and
by then.
hopefully Trent will be back, so there's a bit more stability at the back. But I see this as a 12-pointer for
12 points. 12 points. So 12 out of 15. Right?
12 out of 15.
So which one won't they win?
Brighton will be difficult.
The one at Brighton.
No,
It'll
we're not
be
losing to
Emmanuel,
Brighton again.
Emmanuel, what do you think?
I think maybe I would say for Brighton, Liverpool know how they are going to play. So I would look
And
at
I
Spurs.
also think Liverpool have the antidote to Brighton's football. They can
Yes.
play very well on the break.
Especially. So I would think with Spurs it's different now. There's no Hurricane where you can just pick him out and say, okay, so far as we cut supplies to him, we are good. There's a bit more flexibility to them and unpredictability to them. So I would think Tottenham away might be the most difficult.
But on the
way.
flip side, there's still no Hurricane, so Spurs can't really hurt Liverpool.
I think they can. I mean, there's a school of thought that they are better off without Hurricane because now everybody gets to play his part. There's more unison in the play. We don't just focus on one person or depend totally on one person, and that makes it harder to actually plan for a team like that. So I'd say Spurs for me would be the more difficult one. With Brighton, I think they fell Liverpool too much, and Liverpool will be out to get revenge. So he should be able
Alexis
to get
McAllister faces his former team. All right, let's have a look at Manchester City, defending champions. They also have some games to play. Let's see how their next 5 will look like. It's West Ham away, that starts this weekend. They've got Nottingham Forest at home. And then they've got Wolves away.
Easy.
Arsenal away, that's the game everybody wants.
That would be interesting.
And then there's Brighton at home at the Etihad.
I mean, for me, in as much as City has won all their games, they've not been particularly very impressive. You look at the Newcastle game, they won by the odd goal. They didn't really play them off the park. You look at Sheffield. If not for that, let's say last 10 minutes goal by Rodri, they draw that game. So they've not been overly convincing. And even with the West Ham game, in as much as I think they've not lost at West Ham in the last 15 games between the two of them, West Ham may have had a template to kind of know how to play against City based on how they played against Brighton and beat them. So it will be more difficult than it was last season. I think that was Haaland's first game. They set up a high line. They made it very easy for him. I don't think that will be the case this time around. So, but outside that, I think with the rest of the fixtures, Forest, they don't travel. I think they won just 2 games away in their last 20.
They'll drink a lot of goals.
Haaland may get a hat-trick against Wolves.
Then
and
they
then
go to
Arsenal. So Arsenal, even last season, I think they won 2-1. Or 3-1. No, it was 3-1.
Yes, I remember.
They may still win. And then Brighton.
I don't know why you don't have faith in the new Arsenal. This is the new Arsenal.
It's the same
Well,
Arsenal.
I think they are still yet to show us that the games they have to win, they win them.
But they beat Man United.
It doesn't really
But you see,
count.
this is
Even this season,
what
you
I
look at the Fulham game, it was a bit,
Yes.
we don't know what to
The reason
expect.
why I talk about Arsenal, right, and I go back to the Community Shield, it may not mean much, but I look at the psychological weight lifted off Arsenal to a point. And I think that now they'll face Man City and not be worried.
Yes.
Let me just add one thing. So you look at the season before Liverpool won the league, there were these matches where they drew, I think, West Ham and those odd games. If you really want to win the league with the City in there, you don't lose those games. And they've already started by drawing with Fulham at home. So I'll need to see more of a body of work where they are beating the team they have to beat. And then when they miss the big guys too, at least you beat them.
show up.
Until then, I'll still be, okay, you just come second best.
And even for City, a key thing is the fact that they are still, they start slow. They really start slow. So you might not see the best of them till maybe game week 17 or 18. When Christmas comes around, then you realize that, okay, they are really serious about the championship. And then from there, from January till the end of the season, you find that they're unbeatable because then they've settled.
Mad runs, 15 games.
Exactly. So we might see that they'll struggle against these 5 teams. They will struggle, but you find them scraping by 1-0. Maybe they'll draw 1, but they'll scrape by, and in the end, they'll prepare themselves to still be in contention for the league by halfway through the season, and then they pick up. And with Pep back as well, it will definitely add something to their attack.
All right, we'll see how Man City will fare. Let's move on to their neighbours who are in a difficult place now, Manchester United. Let's see their next 5 games. They take on Brighton at Old Trafford. They go to Burnley away, which is not too far away. They host Crystal Palace. Then they take on Brentford. Then they go to Sheffield.
Well, the first two are difficult games for United.
Burnley?
Yes.
Oh, please.
By virtue of the, well, of course, they are rivals.
They are rivals, and we saw Company play against United, I think, last League Cup. And they were actually quite troublesome for United. And there's a team that's thin at the moment.
Well, that's a cup match.
It's quite thin at the moment. And they're going to play midweek against Bayern. So then maybe there'll be a bit of a European hangover as well, I personally think. So then when they face Burnley, they will not be at their best. Going away as well. Turf Moor is what...
But Turf Moor is no longer Sean Dyche's.
It's not Sean Dyche, but
United
United have they struggle there.
United
United scraped by.
well. Last season they
They
didn't
didn't
travel
travel
well.
well,
But last
but
two
then-
seasons, I think they were unbeaten away, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, Ole's time last season they were beaten away,
And
but
then it's
but
gone
then
down.
Crystal Palace, there's something different about them.
Yeah.
They're playing football. They're not trying to be defensive.
In a
They're
very
coming out
weird
to
way,
attack.
Roy Hodgson.
Yeah, and you're seeing the best of Jordan Ayew currently as well. Eze as well looking good, but the last two, I don't think United will have problems.
Brentford?
I
They
think
would-
Brentford will even be more difficult than
With
Burnley.
Brentford, with Ivan Toney gone,
But
United.
there's Wisa and Mbuemo.
Yeah.
You were talking about him on the podcast. I was listening and I was just laughing because United don't have too much to worry because these two will be running around. United just need to be just very disciplined defensively.
Which they
Discipline
can't be.
defensively.
You,
is
you
not
have
so
to you have to track your
Especially
man.
with the goalkeeper they have now.
No, forget about the goalkeeper. You just have to track your man. Once you're
Fair-
tracking
fair
your man, you're good. And in terms of going forward, you know Brentford will come out to play with you, and that's where United can hurt them with their quick transition. Sheffield away,
That's
that's done.
I mean, to be fair, United didn't beat Brentford at Old Trafford last season.
Yeah.
1-0 was in the running. So.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move it on. Let's have a look at Tottenham Hotspur. Ange Postecoglou's Tottenham Hotspur. They are also playing. So here in James Maddison, as you can see the image there, celebrating, showing off the awards, manager and player of the month. Maddison is one of my favorite players in the league, Maddis, as he's called. That's their run. Sheffield at home, Arsenal away, Liverpool home, Luton away, and Fulham at home.
I think this is where the real test for Spurs begins. They've had a pretty comfortable fixture list. Their first 3 or 4 games. I mean, outside United, the rest were pretty much winnable, in as much as they drew against Brentford.
Yes.
But this is where the real test begins. Especially those 2 games after Sheffield, which I think they will win comfortably. You have Arsenal away and Liverpool at home. So you're going to you go to the
Two teams that are very
Emirates,
intense.
and then and Liverpool haven't lost as Spurs, I think, in their last 3 or so games. So that's where I think it would really show how far they have come, even though it's a small sample size with how they are playing and how impressive they've been. But then after that, even if they do lose those 2, I think they cool
can
it off
bounce
with
back.
Luton and then Fulham.
Well, we'll see how things play out. So these are like that's how the fixture landscape looks like for the 6 teams that we've mentioned so far: Spurs, Man United, Man City, Liverpool, Chelsea, and Arsenal. Their next 5 games, we'll see how many points they can pluck. 0 point, 1 point, 3 points, whatever. We'll see how it plays out for them in their next 5 games or so. You're still watching the Premier League preview show. Let's move on to the next part of the show. Let's get into the debate. Welcome back. This is still the Premier League preview show. Welcome to the debate. Today, we've pitched camp at Old Trafford, and we are asking a very interesting question. We're asking if this Man United job is probably a bit too much for Eric Ten Hag. Guys, is it a bit too much? He's had a lot to deal with in his time in charge. One season,
Too much
5,
drama.
1 season and 5-6 games, I think.
Yeah.
Too much drama.
You think the job is too big?
What I think is United are, under the Glazers, we've seen them to become a very commercial club. They're focused on things off the pitch. The things that will bring them success on the pitch is not too much of a priority because they still get their money. And that's the problem for anyone that is will be at the helm, because the commercial obligations seem to be too many, and they seem to be too focused on that. And then for the footballing side, there's no real good culture at the club. Really, since Sir Alex left, no one's really come in and stamped in their own authority or style. When they are doing it, halfway through, they are let go. When they're doing it halfway through, there's a problem and they can't finish their project. So United they've been trying to change things since Alex and haven't really finished. Every manager, after 2 seasons, you're gone. And that's a bit of a problem. In terms of personnel, he's been given what he wants. He always asks for players and they give it to him. And maybe the problem is the kind of players he came to inherit. So if we notice, Ten Hag, he's trying to get players he knows he's comfortable with, and that might be good for him, but it's also bad because then it shows that you're not trying to develop what you have already or work with what you have. And one thing I think he's doing well is he's being very ruthless in terms of the youth that are coming in. He's not wasting time. okay, go away, get experience. If you're good enough, maybe we'll come back for you. That works, because then United have gotten into the habit of just stockpiling a lot of youngsters, and then you can't get new players coming through the academy. And I think he wants to look at that. He wants to see what he can bring from there. With Kobe Mainoo from preseason, you could tell he actually likes what he's seeing there. He wants that to be it's like a proper factory. However, his results haven't been impressive so far this season. Last season, I think it was a good season for him. He went all the way to semi-final in the. He went to the final of the FA Cup.
Yes.
He
won the League Cup.
Won the League Cup.
Lost in the, was it quarters
of
the
Europa.
League, yeah.
He was
qualified
actually
for the Champions
qualified
League.
for the Champions League. Even in the league, until that game at the Emirates, United were in the title.
You dare say it?
They were in the title. So you could tell they were in the race, and when they lost that, they lost their heads, and that was kind of the end of the season. I don't think it's big for him. I think he likes a challenge. It's just having the right personnel and the right culture at the club, and the culture isn't right for him. You can tell he's big on discipline, and anyone that you go wrong, he just puts you aside until you're ready to do what he requires of you. You don't have a look in, and until he gets the right people around him, United will not get where they have to be. And it's not, the job isn't too big for Ten Hag. It's just the people are not good enough around him.
Okay, Emmanuel.
I tend to think it's a bit much for him.
Okay.
I know.
A bit much. I mean, if you just look at last week, you think a coach of his caliber would not, especially knowing the English press and how they are. You don't come out. Yeah, they ask you, what's up with Jadon Sancho? You could have given a democratically correct answer and not make it into a whole thing where he has to respond with a tweet and it was pinned on his X for I think a week or so. So I think when it comes to the PR response to he's been a bit too much. Okay, this is my way. This is how I'm going to say it. Not doing anybody any favors. On that part, I feel like he could have been a bit more diplomatic with his answers when it comes to those things. But with the football, also I would have expected a bit more from him.
Okay.
I mean, as Yao said, he's gotten what he wants.
What seems to be the problem with the football?
For United, I think the problem has been recruitment over the past 4 or 5 years. It's not been
10
done
years.
right.
10 years.
And
So they are buying the wrong type of players.
And I think it even dovetails into what Yao was saying. What is the culture you're setting? Because a coach comes in, he buys players to fit his model. You can even go as far back as Moyes.
Yeah.
He comes in, there's Schweinsteiger and Alcantara, and Cruz says, no, I want Fellaini.
Yep.
Pays big money, brings in his players. He's taken off. I think Van Gaal comes in,
Yeah.
also has his own way he wants to play,
Brings in
crossing,
Dutch players.
merchant, and all those kind of things. I think there was this game United had about 25 crosses or
Against
so,
Fulham.
and
Yes.
they didn't even score. So
That was under Moyes. I
That was
remember.
under Moyes.
2000, yes.
Yeah.
So there's too much chopping and changing, and for a club like United, you wouldn't expect that. You'd expect that from the top to the bottom, structure would work. They'll do the right things. Like, there'll be a world-class organization wholesale-wise, and that hasn't happened.
Okay.
But then I would also say that you knew what you were walking into, unless, of course, they promised you something, and when you get there and you're asking for it, they are not giving it to you. But if it comes to transfer, I think he's gotten anybody he wants. He's got what's his name? Anthony. It's around for 100 million.
His favorite player.
And I feel like maybe he has to humble himself a bit. You brought in someone for 100 million, he's not performing. And it looks, and maybe that's why Jadon Sancho would think he's a scapegoat, because if you even, I think on the podcast, Susu did some
Yeah, he
good
was
analysis.
just, the numbers.
You say Jadon Sancho hasn't performed well, but I mean, you didn't bring him in to defend to start with. And with the little minutes you've given him, he's doing similar numbers or even better than him. So maybe he's not giving everybody a chance. You look at the treatment of Maguire. Maguire is now fifth, sixth choice. I mean, if I was Maguire and you brought in Johnny Evans, I'll feel so insulted. Johnny Evans is what? He's 37 or so?
He's 35.
He's 35.
Yeah.
Okay,
For
35.
same number as his jersey.
So I feel like with that, he hasn't handled player management, I don't think he has done a good job there. The PR side, too, I don't think he's been. I mean, Ole was very, very diplomatic when it comes to answering questions. He was the darling boy of the press. Like, he give you what you want, and it doesn't create an uproar or anything. But for Ten Hag, I think if the results don't start talking for him, seeing that he's seen himself as a disciplinarian and okay, it's my way or you take the high road. If he doesn't start getting results.
Okay, let me ask you this: how much time do you think Eric Ten Hag has?
He has till December, I think.
Till December.
I think so, because you would have faced everybody, and we want to see progress in terms of how you're playing on the field. Forget about off the field stuff, the discipline stuff. They're all parts of being a manager, but what speaks for you are your results. So if you can get the right results, be in the top 4, top 5 by December, I think it buys them some time till at least the end of the season.
I see.
But if Carabao Cup, he gets knocked out early, in the Champions League, he's not performing, I think by December, United will want to probably just part ways with him.
Emmanuel, how much time?
I would say he has till the end of the season. Okay. I mean, until realistically he can't make top 4. Because for the Champions League, it's going to be difficult.
Yeah, that's the problem.
It's going to be very difficult. And you want to put in a cup run in there to kind of cushion you, judging by how the league is going to go. You also don't know what injuries will bring.
Yeah.
You don't. There's so much uncertainty about the team. You don't know if Anthony will be back or not. Like there's so much uncertainty. So for me, I think he has till the end of the season.
Okay.
But then you'd ask yourself, if they let Ten Hag go, who are they bringing in?
I remember I was asking that off air.
I've been
maybe
thinking,
United can tempt Roberto De Zerbi, but I don't think he'll
leave Brighton. The structures there work for him.
They make too much sense.
And then maybe United will be like, okay, we're going to go the United way and
bring back
Michael Carrick. Honestly.
But he's struggling at Middlesbrough now.
No, he's struggling now. Last season he had a good run.
last season really worked for him.
Now he's learning that the championship is not easy.
It's no joke.
So himself and maybe Ryan Giggs will come together and return to United.
I mean, final question as we wrap up the debate. Is there, there are those who believe that it's teething problems, painful parts of growth. Teams will suffer before they get better. Do you think eventually everything will come together at Manchester United, and then whatever it is Ten Hag is preaching will start to be a bit more visible, players will function, it will start to make sense?
I'm thinking there are 3 things United need to do. Sort out ownership. There's a bit of uncertainty there. Second thing will be looking at the football structures. You've got a director of football that we know he's got something about him, but has he got clout across Europe? Maybe he's good in England and Scotland, but has he got that all across Europe? And the third thing is United haven't been good on the pitch. So Ten Hag really needs to get results. He needs results more than anything.
Okay, so what's more important, performance or results?
I think results.
Results will get you the confidence you need to put out the performances. Because United, at the beginning of pre-season, they were feeling like, okay, yeah, we've got something about us. But then you realize that they're playing Bilbao, you're playing Sevilla, and you're struggling. And then you come into the season, and then you realize that, okay, we're actually not as good as we think we are. So those performances will come later, but only if you can get the results.
Emmanuel, do you agree? For now, results.
I think for now, results. And it's one of the things I mentioned, I think, 2 weeks ago, that you don't know what United are. It's the hybrid of the possession and counter is what is creating the problem. And I think recruitment is the key thing. Yeah, you have money to spend. Commercially, you are the apple of everybody's eye. But if you're not buying the right players, the players make the system. Okay. And if you buy, you can't fit square pegs in round holes. If you buy the wrong players and they don't fit the system, it comes back to bite you. So, yeah, you need to get results in. Then you are a settled top 4 team. You are making it to Champions League quarterfinals. You are nicking in the Carabao and FA Cup. Then now, within that time, you can get hold of the dead wood, get rid of the players you don't have that rapport with, and then now you can try to play your own game.
Wow, it looks like it's a long journey for Manchester United. It's a bit of a journey for them as they try to rebuild their team under Eric Ten Hag. Like I always say, look, the debate can continue wherever you are, whether you think this job is a bit too much for Eric Ten Hag or he's the right man, he needs a little time, and over time, things will come together. Still watching the Premier League preview show. We'll be wrapping it up in a bit. Let's have a final look at the fixtures for the coming match week, which will be live on Citi 97.3 FM. There you have the games. Wolves and Liverpool, sorry, Fulham and Luton, Spurs and Sheffield, West Ham, Man City. Mohamed Kudus is back at West Ham. We'll see if he'll get some minutes against Man City. Man United at home to Brighton. Tariq Lamptey from a Ghanaian perspective. We'll see how much time he will get to play. Villa versus Palace. That should be an exciting one. Newcastle and Brentford. Some people say this game won't be good. Bournemouth and Chelsea on Sunday. Everton versus Arsenal also on Sunday. And on Monday night, it's Nottingham Forest versus Burnley. Look out for Anthony Elanga. He'll probably...
Square again.
Hudson-Odoi is also there, right?
Yeah, they have Callum Hudson-Odoi.
And then
So,
Sangare.
the thing is not looking... It's not bad.
Yeah,
They
preparing.
like buying players. Who,
Yeah, in 2 million, more like 58 players.
They bought
I
at
think they
least
brought in
3
like
squads.
3 players on deadline day also.
Yeah,
That's
quality
a lot.
players too.
That's a lot. Well, we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. Just before we wrap it up, a quick reminder that on the 30th of September, the City Business Olympics is on. The 30th of September, City Business Olympics at the Eden Heights Sports Complex in Windsor. If you haven't been there, this is a chance to go see the place. Wonderful facilities, lovely buildings, great sporting facilities, lovely basketball court, though. Really, really, really interesting. It makes you want to channel your inner Steph Curry. For those who, yeah, so that's that. So register your company on 0205 973 973 or 0558 973 973. Call us and sort out all the things you need to sort out. Lock in your spot, select the games you want to take part in, and we'll see you there. The biggest event on the day is the CEO's Challenge. CEO's Challenge. We line up all the CEOs, and they have to kick a ball from a point into an empty goal. And, the one who does that, he'll join the others who do, and then we keep eliminating until we have an ultimate winner. And maybe, guys, when that person wins, we can add them to the Black Stars to take penalties. All right, so that's the City Business Olympics happening on the 30th of September, 2023. All right, we're wrapping it up here on the Premier League Preview Show. It's been another exciting episode. Remember that the games are live on Citi 97.3 FM on Saturday and on Sunday, and you've got the Pitchside podcast that supports the coverage as well. And this show, the Premier League Preview Show, on Citi TV every Friday afternoon between 4 and 5 p.m. Thank you, guys. I had Yao Frimpong, I had Emmanuel Nubo. My name is Nathan Kwa. We'll catch you next week with another exciting episode. Until then, enjoy the weekend, stay safe, and catch you next week.